ago. The reason I went to Varanasi are three basic reasons this year. One, or why I got late, was down to my wife. Because my wife stole my passport, and I was supposed to go on October the 26th for Diwali, and I think the full moon was October the 28th. And I couldn't find my passport, so I couldn't go. Then I couldn't go for the November full moon, so I landed up, and then I checked the diary, and on the diary it suddenly told me that New Year's Eve was the full moon. Not only was it full moon, it was blue moon, which means, to normal people who don't know what a blue moon is, means when there's two full moons in 1 month. So I thought, right, it's good she stole my passport. That means I didn't go in October, and I can go for the New Year and for the blue moons. And what I did also is that Jimmy was a man I had a fight with. He was a makeup artist for Estee Lauder. He was very handsome, so lots of women were always sort of looking at him all the time, and his girlfriend used to get angry about that a bit. But he was such a nice man that one day on Christmas Day, he didn't have any friends, and my family was not there. So I said, I collect people at Christmas. The reason I collect people at Christmas is very lonely people on Christmas Day. So if there's anybody who is by themselves, I collect all these people and bring them to my house. So one day, on Christmas Day, Jimmy came, and suddenly he comes in the house and he's gone all red, and he says, "Can you help me, Paul? Can you help me?" I says, "Why?" He says, "There's a woman in the car and she's not getting out of the car." I said, "That's your problem, Jimmy, not mine." No, you've got to help me. I just found her. I says, "What? You just found this woman?" She was crying. I said, "Crying where?" She was crying in the church, on the steps, because the church was shut. I said, "The church was shut on Christmas Day? That's not right." So I went to the car, and there was an old lady sitting in the car, about 55 years old, who was crying. So I asked her, I said, "Do you want to come in my house?" Now, the way I look a bit like a terrorist and a monster. It's not easy for an older woman to be coming into a stranger's house looking like me, but she came, she sat down, we made a cup of coffee, or tea, and biscuits, and then I played some Christmas carols so that she felt at home, and she explained the problem with it. So that all happened. The husband came and collected this woman afterwards. Christmas went okay, and then about 2 weeks later I had a fight with Jimmy, a physical fight. But then we stopped, and then Jimmy separates from his girlfriend, goes mad, and lands up with a Zimbabwean girl who wanted a visa for this country, who had already tried to sleep with me. And when I was trying to marry Olga Bereza, she told me, saying, no, don't marry her, marry me, you know we're much better together. I went, no, but you're a big black fat woman. I was saying, you're a mama. No. So nothing happened. And then Jimmy was bipolar. She found Jimmy, she boyfriended Jimmy, she slept with Jimmy, and she became pregnant. When she became pregnant, I saw Jimmy maybe 3 times a week, and he was looking very, very sad. And then all I know is that he disappeared for a week. He was going up to see his father in Scotland, and then he was going up to see his father. I didn't phone her back. 3 days later, her boyfriend phoned me. He says, "Have you heard?" I said, "Heard what?" He says, "Jimmy killed himself." I went, "What?" I says, "When?" He went, "Last Friday." I says, "That's 4 days ago." I says, "How come you lot have not told anybody? Have you told his girlfriend?" Nobody had even told Emily, his ex-girlfriend, that he'd hung himself. So the first thing I did was phone her. She, of course, started to cry. We then buried most of his ashes in Tunbridge Wells. I took some of his ashes to India, because I knew I was going to India. And that's why Jimmy was actually taken to India for the burial. At the same time, what I didn't realise, this fellow called Malcolm, I think his cousin came and told me down the market that he died, and I couldn't believe it. And I haven't got a lot of relationship with Malcolm, but every evening after work I used to sit and have a beer with him, and he was a very nice man. And then I found out after I buried him in India, when I came back and I put the pictures on Facebook and Eric and his family saw it, I said, well, when did he die? Because I didn't know which day he died, and it turned out to be he died on my birthday. Anyway. Oh, I even got the date of the marriage of my wife here. I didn't even remember that story, if I may. Jimmy was a prolific artist. He used to do these very strange bits of art. Art using double glazed windows, smashing them up, using lots of smashed up glass, painting fire extinguishers white, huge pickaxes white. He was actually very, very, very good. And I think another of his problems, when he got together with his black woman called Fadzai, and when he went to a church, the priest said, no, your art is evil. You must destroy it all. So he actually destroyed all his art. My idea to bring his ashes to India because, how can I explain it? A lot of people are frightened about death in the West. And it's not to say frightened, they get very paranoid about death. And I think the Indian system of closing a death is very, very good. Because if you just have just some kind of burial with a couple of ashes in some church and there's not much that goes on, you still feel like the person is alive and it doesn't seem to close properly. And I found out that by actually burying people out in India or burying people in a specific way, it doesn't have to be India necessarily, but when billions of Indians have been buried in Ganges, it's okay to go along with that. It sort of seems to help. Any Hindu person from north, south, east or west would love that when any of their family died, they get taken to Varanasi. And still now, you will see people all the way from South India, which is a 3-day train journey, that people take the dead all the way to Varanasi and will burn them in Varanasi because it sends them to their nirvana, their heaven. Some people also put it in a place, the Jamuna, which is closer from the south. But the reason is the Jamuna and the Ganga are actually, they join in a certain place called Ganga Jamuna, which is Allahabad. So it's just a tradition out in India now, and we do believe that because it comes from the mountain and it was Shiva, it's all to do with death, and that's where the person should go again. It stayed. Yeah, Malcolm I can't understand because I cried quite a lot with him. Although I didn't know him that well. And I tried to work out why I used to cry, and I couldn't work it out because I didn't know him that well. He was just a market manager, he used to see me in evenings. And then that's why I was so surprised, because I couldn't understand why I was crying about him, maybe more than my family even. And that's what a Hindu believes. Right? They believe that the spirit has gone, but they still do the ritual for the body, and the ritual is to let the last spirits go from the body, as this priest in India said he was getting rid of the spirits from it. Now, I'm scientific. I believe in I've heard about the reincarnation all my life. You hear about reincarnation by Buddhists, from my family. My mum used to say if you step on a fly, you'll come back as a fly. All this kind of thing goes on. So I always try to work out why everybody believes in reincarnation, why they have to believe that there is something after death. What I worked out is my genuine belief is that with your eyes, your nose, your ears, your mouth, and your touch and your taste, your senses, that is the only thing you see the outside world from, or that you're connected to the outside world. All that information gets logged on your genes, every bit, from minute go, every single thing, the green grass, the town you're in, the colour of the cars, the houses you see, everything gets logged on. That is to help the next generation, because you're already giving them knowledge and you're giving them genetic information of where you are. That is put in your genes, and when your babies get made, it gets passed on. Now, I had this feeling all my life, till I was about 22 or 23, I think it was, and it was always, I was looking for the meaning in life. It seemed like there should be something. And there was always this emptiness of me looking for something. And it stopped. And it stopped the day I had children. The minute I had children, it stopped. Now, if you look at it scientifically, if you've logged every single piece of information of everything you did for all your life onto your genes, that information is there. You've passed that on to your children. You've just been reincarnated. It is you who's come back. Not only you, your father, your grandfather, all that genetic thing has just come back in the next child. You can even see it in your children. You can often see many parts of you in your children when you've got the genes. So my actual opinion is I don't believe in reincarnation after death. I believe in reincarnation before death. I think the Indians believe that there is some spirit left in the body which has to be taken out. So through these ceremonies, they take out what is supposed to be the last bit of spirituality from this body, send it into the heavens, and then leave the body as an empty shell, which you then burn. It then gives closure, which is what I keep trying to tell people, that unless people close when somebody's died and manage to close it off, it can affect them very badly. It's affected my sister so badly that I think she's gone slightly mental from it all. She's depressed, she's got all these complications, and she has to go to psychologists nowadays, all from this. Had she actually bothered to do this, to close the system, you'll see it a lot, for example, where people who did not see their beloved one die, and maybe their beloved one got lost, they don't know whether they died or didn't die, maybe they died in a circumstance they never found out why or how. So all these questions for the rest of their life will run around their brain and affect it so badly that also, like for example, my partner who did not see her mother at all. Now what I did was, I never thought I could do it because I never had anybody who died really, but I did it the first time with my mother in Germany. When she's lying, and she lies in a chapel of rest, a lot of people in Britain, Christianity does it as well, where the body lies in a chapel of rest so that people can come and see the dead body. I personally think it's very good to see the dead body, because then your mind seems to switch in a certain way and realise that person is dead. The people who don't do that, I think, forever, have got this feeling that that person is alive. So, in both the cases where I've had close family, which is my mother, I didn't do it with my father. Maybe I wasn't wise enough, but I did it with my mother. I went to see her in a chapel of rest and sat with her, and my sister. And I think that helped me, but I think because my sister didn't, it did not help her. So she should have come and seen the dead body as well. This is a closure type thing, of realising that the person is dead, gone, let's finish the matter, let's talk about the future, right? Not leave the past trying to kill the future. I think I would have felt worse if I had not closed it and not taken them to the Ganges and not done the rituals. I do believe that a lot of my sanity is due to having done those things to close off that life.